camp, you know, where we bring high school prospects on campus and work them out. So we're trying to figure out who's coming, you know, what we're looking for, you know, in this class, kind of now that everyone's gone out, seeing these kids come back and we can all sit in a room together and talk about, you know, what they look like, you know, because a lot of times this is the first time we've seen some of these kids, you know, as a staff. So now it's more of a kind of consolidating everything that's gone on for the past month and a half into, you know, some good thoughts. So from that standpoint, it's a lot more meeting. Then once we get done with camps, we're off for about a month, which will be kind of nice. Look forward to July. And then August is kind of just ramping up for the season.
As you go through and see where everything is at this point, there's some commits that have come in and given verbals. You've got your pulse on it all, obviously, hearing from the coaches and being the guys you said in the middle with the players, too. What's your sense of how this year of recruiting is going and how important is it to the kids about the Big 12?
I mean, it's going good. I mean, I don't know what, you know, the measuring stick for a good, bad, or indifferent year would be at this point. But, you know, I'd say it's going well. I mean, the Big 12, I definitely think is exciting, you know, to kids. You know, that's something that all the coaches talked about when they were out on the road, you know, as far as it's a conference that has a little bit more, you know, recognizable image to it, you know, where, and not to say there's anything wrong with the Big East, but you don't have to defend your conference, you know, anymore, which is good. And, you know, for Texas, I think it's really going to pay dividends after we're down there for a year, playing some games, just to give you a face, you know, have a presence. I mean, you look at some of the teams in the Big 12. I mean, Missouri, for example. Well, Missouri's done a really good job recruiting Texas, you know, in the Big 12, and it's not like Kansas City's, you know, sitting right next to Texas. I mean, it's 10 hours from Dallas, you know, maybe more. So I think once we get down there, have a presence, have a little bit, you know, more visible face, I think maybe next year's class is where you're really going to see, you know, a lot more improvement in Texas.
Have you noticed a bump? Have you noticed that West Virginia's name is carrying a little bit more weight down there and maybe out of the traditional recruiting areas?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of kids that didn't see the Orange Bowl, you know, so that definitely helps, you know, especially in Florida. I mean, we were a pretty hot commodity, you know, at least in the spring, which, again, that's great, but you got to sustain that kind of success that to really pay, you know, dividends. I mean, come September, October, you know, there's going to be a new game to talk about. Next January, there'll be another Orange Bowl to talk about. So, you know, we obviously got to do our part to make sure, you know, that we stay a hot commodity.
You mentioned the camp's coming up. What's that involved for you, and how much of a whirlwind is that when you've got all these kids coming in?
I mean, it's more of just an evaluation kind of deal, you know, where trying to get as many kids on campus as you can. Now, for us, it's more of an opportunity to target some of the younger kids, maybe some of the kids that be in the 2014 class. You know, that this will be the first time you get a chance to meet them. Your coaches actually get to work with them, which is pretty valuable, you know, getting some hands-on stuff like that. So, I mean, the way we have it set up with our one-day camps, it's really relatively easy. You know, they're all cookie-cutter, they're all the same. So it runs pretty smooth.
When it comes to evaluation, are you involved in that? Do you get to take that look and kind of share your thoughts, or is it really the coaches and they come back and tell you what they're thinking about?
I mean, I think the more sets of eyes you have on the same kid, the chances of you getting an accurate evaluation are better. I mean, I get to have my input. You know, obviously the guy who he's going to be playing for is position coach, and Coach Holgerson obviously has the final say. So if I really like a kid and tell them they should take him and they don't, I'm not going to overrule them.
How is the approval process? How does that work?
I mean, generally starts with a guy, you know, because we break, you know, our coaches up into areas. You know, we obviously don't have someone assigned to every geographic region in the United States, but where we recruit, you know, the guy that's the area recruiter kind of identifies the prospect, brings it to the position coach. You know, the position coach is the one that will approve them, you know, and say, yes, we need to recruit this kid, yes, we need to offer him, and then ultimately it comes down to Coach Holgerson deciding which kids, you know, he has to approve them as well, you know, for them to be able to come.
That's based on your roster needs, what you need. Is that how you weight it?
Yeah, everything's based on the numbers, you know, is you know, how many guys you need at X position. So, and obviously varies from year to year, and can change throughout the course of a recruiting cycle. What you think you may need in February, after you sign the one class, may be drastically different when you get to the next January. It's kind of the nature of college football. Kids transfer, quit, and get in trouble academically, what have you. So numbers can change. So you constantly have to be on top of it. That's one of Coach Holgerson's constant questions to me: is what do the numbers look like? So I always got to tell him.
Well,